Hello, YouTube. This is Thomas here. Buenos dias. I'm coming to you guys. Just wanted to uh, talk a little bit about. I saw on Prime the second version of, well, not the first one, but the repeat, but the reboot or the part two of Coming to America. And I just wanted to let you know what my opinion is on this movie. I saw it uh, 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 Wednesday night. For you guys, if you don't know about this, for some reason they release it a day early for the Europeans first. Then for America, they release it the next following day. So if you don't know about that little trick for the Prime, that's a little trick that they have. So if it's expected to be on the 8th, they usually release it the day earlier. That was a good thing for me, especially when the Expanse was on. I love the Expanse, but that was a good little trick, and I could see a little earlier, but I had to pay an extra. So, with that being said, I'll just say that I saw it two times. The first time I saw it with my wife and myself, and uh, going through without any problems at all. I just went through and we were eager to see it, so we saw it, and I had some good laughs about it. And I said, okay, this is pretty good with the first round, and I just thought that it was a pretty good thing to watch. Then this past Sunday, I wanted to see it again, but on Prime they had the first one, Coming to America, the first one with Eddie Murphy, and I watched that from beginning to end. And then after that concluded, I watched the remake of the Coming to America. So I wanted to just review and see what I liked about that one as opposed to the reboot. And I just said, okay, well, let me just go through here. And the first one, which is the original, was a really good movie, and I love the beginning. Uh, of the grandness of how they introduce Zamunda, and people love that, and it was it was really great. And then the story of how he became, and it was 20 King Akeem, and it was his 21st birthday, and we enjoyed. We grew to love him. Okay, we saw him as one of us. Although he was rich, he was royalty. We could sympathize with the situation, and so we could see exactly what he's living through, what type of things he had, and then how the progression of the movie. He came to America to find his bride, which he did, and we went through the steps of the people and that kind of thing, and it was a really good movie. I say it's a classic. It's earned the thing I would say is a classic, and it's ageless. It's timeless. Okay, you can watch that movie today, and you can say, okay, I can still believe this. Now we're going to fast forward 33 years to Coming to America, which was done by Paramount, and it was the Eddie Murphy production. This time it was not produced with John Landis. I understand that at one point John Landis and Eddie Murphy had some problems, so that they did collaborate in three movies, and for the most part they were very successful movies. But he didn't want to go that way. He went a different way with another director, and that shows. the film in general, like I said, the first time I laughed, and the second time I went through, and not so much. I found some problems, and the first thing that really got me was the grandness, and I know that he's still a prince. He's still a prince, but he has three children, so three girls. So I said, okay. But to me, I understand why they were doing a lot of virtue signaling. Okay, and I just thought that at the end of the day, his daughter is going to be the next queen, as going to be his heir, as opposed to the son. And the son, well, we'll go back to that. So, the other problem I had with the movie is that we saw Simi, and Simi was a big character, and you know, back in the and coming to America, he was a sex fiend. He wanted sex every day. In this movie, he did not say not one thing about sex. So what changed him? Okay, did he get a vasectomy? Did somebody did they castrate him? He did not say anything about having sex. That was the one big thing that he was talking about when he was in the first movie. So okay, all right, maybe he got ED. I don't know. They didn't really say. So then we talk about James Earl Jones. She said that there's the thing, but he couldn't have a son. Then they find out that he has a son. Okay, all right, okay, I can understand that. You got to pass the lineage, and then you're the, you got to have a male heir. Okay, all right. So then there was the thing about they were forcing him because the king said that he's going to get assassinated by the rival tribe, and I'm like, if you taught this man, and we saw in Coming to America how ferocious a person he was. He stared down a man with a double barrel shotgun, took him out with no problem. And you gonna tell me that you're gonna say that he is gonna get assassinated on day one? How do you say that? The man faced down lions and tigers. He took on, like I said, he took on Samuel L. Jackson with a shotgun. Who does that? And he defeated him with just a staff. And you're going to tell me that because he does not have a male heir, that he has the force and that he's going to get assassinated. So his father put him in that mindset instead of being a confident person. And back in Coming to America, he was a very confident young man, very strong, and he's his father's son. And I don't understand what the hell happened to him. He's weak, and they say he's a weakling now. That he's gonna get assassinated. And people love him, and he's the Princess Amunda. So why are you saying that as the king you're going to be assassinated because you don't have a male heir? Okay, well, we just let that go. All right. So we got to have a reason. So the reason why he has to have this situation is because he got to move the plot along. Okay. So then this premise that there's a male heir that he had. Okay. The whole movie got shot down on this thing. All right. I saw the first one, and at 55 minutes and approximately 55 minutes 5 seconds into the movie, where the scene that just after Lisa got the $500,000 earrings, the next scene was Simi and Akeem, and they were wiping the windows, and Simi said, "Do you know I have not had sex in this country yet?" And then if we're to believe what he said as opposed to what they transpired that they got drunk and Semi met this lady at the discotheque and they had sex and they didn't forget it. And then how could you, how he would not, if the man wanted sex that bad, he would not have forgotten. He would, and why did he say that in that scene? And then when he went to, when the king came to him, when they found out that King was in trouble, and they got him, and the king said you should be bathed thoroughly. He was like, "Thank you, Master G. Thank you, thank you." So you know he's going to have some sex then. So if that was all that was taken care of before, this premise of them having this intercourse with these two girls, or with him having this thing with this girl, does not hold water. So after that, this whole thing was, to me, it was bull crap, and I said, okay, this is just, I'm just gonna put this as, it's just bullshit. It's just a fantasy movie. So after I saw that part of the movie from Coming to America, and then I watched the second part, when I watched the Coming to America, I was like, okay, this is just a reason to make money. That's basically it. Then when they went to America, well, let me back up a little bit. And he found out he had a son and all this other stuff, and the son came across as being really a buffoon. You know, he was a comedian and all this sort of stuff. He's supposed to be a hip hop rapper. He was selling. He was selling tickets and that kind of thing. He was a jack of all trades. You know, when we met a king, he was accomplished. He was smooth. He was educated. As opposed to in this thing, his son was less than that. Okay, and he didn't try. He tried to educate him in the ways of being a royalty, but he didn't educate his mind. So his son, to me, was less than what the son he was than Akeem. The other thing is that the girls, this whole thing just stinks of identity politics. And later on in the movie, I'm skipping over a lot of things though, but I'm skipping over the movies. But you know, this is some things that I really felt that they really misjudged, and they just did a lot of things that I didn't really like. This part, when I'm open up, when King Jaffe Jofar, when he died, and a king became king, they did not have any ceremony for him. He had no coronation. There was nothing for him. They just gave him the the crown and keep it moving. That is complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. If the king died, then they had to have some type of ceremony for the new king to come up and become the new king. They didn't do that. They He did not have that. And as a person who saw the first movie, and now the king was going to be the king, I wanted to see the procession where he became king, finally became king, and his wife becomes the queen. And I think that was a misrepresentation. We saw that his son, they had a ceremony for his son, and they presented him as the next prince of someone, but the king, he just left him out. It's like, you don't need this. I don't know why, but I guess maybe because it's they didn't want to see him become king. They don't want to see a man become king They wanted to see the woman to become the next queen. So this movie just seemed to shift away from Prince Akeem or King Akeem because it just got away from him. We just lost focus of the main reason why we're here is for King Akeem and how he became the king. And that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see that Akeem finally will replace his father. And that would have been fine. They didn't need to do all this other stuff, with the virtual signaling and that kind of thing. Carbon footprint. That's another thing he talked about. And when they talked about the McDowell's and they were adding this new grass burger, and they wanted to reduce the carbon footprint. And I'm like, a carbon footprint. Now, come on. Now, what are you saying? Okay, carbon footprint. You know, one thing about movies is you don't want to show the time of when this movie is in. They had various things that they reference things that are going on right now. And that's going to date this movie real bad in 20, 30 years. What do you mean by carbon footprint and that kind of thing? Carbon footprint will come and it'll go. The second problem I had with this carbon footprint stuff is that you got King Akeem. He has a private jet now, and he flies all the way to New York City, and he flies all the way back. Then his son goes all the way back with his black bride to be, and then King Akeem, he goes back and finds his son, and then both of them come back together in probably two separate planes. So what about carbon footprint for that? The other thing is that the characters, it's kind of mind-boggling is that we saw King Joffrey Joffer. He grew older. We had Cleo, McDowell, Mr. McDowell. He got older. But the guys in the shop, they still look the same. And they were already in the 80s, back in the 80s. So, these guys, they should have well been past dead. I mean, they talking about these guys should be at least in their 130s, but they don't age. They didn't age a bit. I'm like, how do you do that? I know Akeem looks different, and Simi looks completely different. So how can these guys look the same? Okay, and then also the other problem I had was with spatial time. How can you go from flying to Africa, flying from Africa? I'm going to say, for example, we're going to fly to, I would say probably Nigeria. We're going to fly from Nigeria all the way to New York, JFK. Okay. So how are we going to get there in less than a minute? They have nothing in there. You're talking about you're flying through multiple time zones, and then also you're flying into JFK. It takes time, customs, that kind of thing. And how do you show up just like that in just mere seconds? Okay. And then the other points where, in terms of time, you have to when King Akeem goes back to America to get his son, and this is the next day, and it's the time frames that they for this movie is just completely crazy, and so we don't know how much time took place between when King Akeem actually became king. We don't know how much time there is from the time that he became king to get the boy and to come back. The time sentence this completely threw me off, and I hated that. I mean, I wanted this. I mean, I can walk back, some things, but that time issue is kind of important to me because it's continuity, and you take into context the transportation and that kind of thing, and it just doesn't fit. And the movie itself, to me, it's okay. Um, it's okay. I mean, I'm glad to see a closure to the Duke boys, that kind of thing, and I'm glad to see the old crew, Randy Watson, and he looks the same too, and the whole crew. And then we had the girls, the DJ girls. They look older, but but everybody else in the barbershop, they look the same. Or the guy in the middle, with the small head, he looks different, but everybody else looks the same. So I don't know. Anyway, in terms of my final opinion on this movie, I mean, it's if you wanted some entertainment, I mean, it's fun. It has some gags in it. It's silly. It's completely silly. Okay, looking at how they crafted some of the things, and the dances. I mean, they had some modern people. It was an uptick, and I prefer the old stuff, from the first Coming to America, with the Wonderful One and that kind of thing, with Marvin Gaye, and that kind of old school stuff. But this was, I don't want disco. I mean, I don't want this kind of music. I mean, I'm dating myself too, but this is not going to age well. It's not going to age well. So, anyway, I would give it probably a 7 out of 10. I would. I paid money to see it, and I probably did pay money to see it, but I mean, it was okay. I mean, it's passable. My wife, she liked it, and I'm glad that she was happy. But in my opinion, it could have been better. And the virtual signaling, where we spent this whole time, for 2 hours, not 2 hours, but maybe 90 minutes for this whole story. The whole premise is for King Joffrey Joffer to make his daughter his heir instead of his son. We could have did this from the jump. I don't get it, but they and the son, love him, but he was just a buffoon, and we know that this was he was not going to be the king, because he said he didn't want to live like that. He didn't feel like that. He didn't smell like that, and he didn't want to be king. So what that means is that we had a lot of virtual signaling, and we also know, because they said that the daughter had lived her life to be the queen, or to pass on along, but he couldn't do that. But when he became king, he could have changed it. And what his father said to him, said he's going to be assassinated. Uh, nah, nah. I mean, you came across as being a very forthright person, and you can handle yourself, and you can handle the country, because the people love you. But okay, so that's my opinion. I'm sorry it took so long, 23 minutes. I'm sorry, but you guys take care. And if you like the video, just give me a thumbs up. If you don't, just leave me an email and just say, I think you should reconsider. Okay, guys. See you down the line. Bye.